Well, welcome to Two Robs and a Mike, and as you'll notice, we have a different crew of people here today. So we mentioned last year, at the end of last season, that Mike was heading off to pursue his music career. So we've asked Sarah to come and join us as our guest host today, and
Welcome, Sara.
Thanks, guys.
welcome, yeah. And I probably worth mentioning, I guess because Mike's leaving or has left, we kind of found the name a little bit limiting. So we thought we might do an early rebrand for season 2, and we're going to come up with a new name for the podcast. And so when you're searching for Spotify and YouTube or wherever your podcast is, then you'll probably notice that there's been a bit of a name change. We might keep putting Two Robs in there for a little while, so it helps with the transition, so everyone makes sure that they continue to get their Blue Mountains, their feet of Blue Mountains trail running.
Yeah, absolutely.
So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your trail running. Well, when did you start running in general, and when did trail running come into it?
Well, I've run since I was a kid, like 6 years old. We used to do family runs, always loved running, did a bit of competitive cross-country and track in high school, went to national a couple times, and then decided to pull back after that through uni and did a lot of travel, but always ran a couple half marathons. Like I've done 12 marathons, over 20 half marathons, over 15 city to surfs. And then probably like 10 years ago, did actually Mount Solitary, my first trail run, and was a very humbling experience.
That was your first trail run?
Yeah, I went from a road marathon to that. Very naive, lots of good mistakes. And then, from there, just loved it and have been doing lots of trail running ever since.
Yeah, excellent. Amazing. And I can attest that Sarah's a beast on heels now. So she's certainly made the transition from road running to trail running.
Yeah, not every kilometre is equivalent when you do trail running, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And you're doing 6 foot?
Sure am, yeah. It will be my third.
Okay, so the three of us are all in 6 foot.
Rob's 15th, 16th, 15th, nice.
Yeah. My first.
Rob. Yeah, Rob's first.
And your third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should be fun.
So, Rob, how's the training going?
Training's going, I say good. I'm feeling much better about it now.
Mm-hmm.
More consistent?
Getting there. Like the graph on Strava per week is looking a bit healthier. But also just a few key runs, and it may well be placebo effect. And I know we're going to be doing some challenges with shoes, but since I got the Prodigio Pros, I've only done 2 runs in them. It's like, these are amazing.
Well,
so actually, I'm really keen to run in them, and I'm going to keep them on the shelf until race day. I've done 65 Ks in them, but they're just amazing shoes. And I was going to wear the Prodigios, which I thought was the premium shoe, until a few weeks ago when they released the Pros, and I was really happy with that. And even running Megalong Mega in them. Yeah. So although my training and fitness is down, and I can see, obviously I've got my run logs, I've got Strava, all these key training runs that you do regularly. I can see exactly where I'm at. I've got a set of scales at home. I know exactly where I'm at compared to last year and the year before and beyond to compare. So I know I sort of know exactly what my 6 foot time should be based on where I'm at. And I was thinking it was going to be not pretty. It was not going to be that great. But then my Megalong Mega, I knocked like 20 minutes off it.
Oh, that's good.
And I thought, wow, because I should have been slower. So again, people talk about the next percent and 5% out of these, 4% out of these super shoes. And,
you got it.
And I'm going to be really keen to see what that is. And I've been wearing the T8 Ultra Shorts for the last month as well. So I'm going to wear them on race day.
Yeah. They're good if it's hot.
I've packed everything in there. It's great. And
even
they
water
dry
bottles?
so quick. 500ml flask in the front. And so like my kit is really coming together for this year, even if the body is not. It's not the legs.
We did the Summit long run on the weekend. So a good training run where we did 31 Ks through the Kadumba Valley. And I've got to say, you look like you're moving pretty well. So
I was having a great time, and the grip, even going down Kadumba, like they were silent.
But I told you that
on the
that's
street,
where
they
I
were
think
silent.
that's where I
they're
think
just
those shoes are going
stuck,
to be really shine. Is
Yeah.
like you can just let it go because it seems to for me. I mean, you've got a pair, but it seems to me like they just feel like massive shock absorbers. But they kind of they certainly rebound energy, but they just when you sort of bombing it downhill, then it just feels a lot easier on my joints, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I noticed that on Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, and then Monday morning. Normally after a 31K run with all that elevation, I'd be a really old man sort of creaking, getting out of a chair, getting out of my car in the morning, and I just felt heaps better. And I went, okay, that's good.
So helpful with recovery.
Yeah.
So your trainings, so you're on track, you feel, based on where you were and your injuries last year? And
I'm still thinking. So last year I did 540, and I was thinking this year I must be behind that. Yep. So everything else I've done in the last few months tells me I'm not going to be that fast.
Yep.
But now I'm thinking sub 530 could be in the cards.
Nice.
All right. Okay, there we go. We've got prediction
and
number
a bigger
one.
smile on my face while I'm doing it.
Yes, the most important part.
And Sarah, how are you feeling?
I think my first year I got 435 and the next year 430. So I'd like to do a good sub 430. I've been training hard, really good training block. So yeah, a good sub 430 would be very great.
I think that's definitely on the card.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've definitely been running well, so that's good.
How about you?
Well, like for the first time in a long time, I've started to think that I'm in better form than I had been. So, like, if anyone watched the podcast last year, every time I got on, I was talking about my dodgy knee and how crap I was and how many races I didn't finish and stuff like that. But I feel like I've had a really solid training block coming into this. Been running a lot of hills, and that was a real struggle at first, but every week it's felt easier and easier and easier. And so I'm starting to think that maybe a sub 5 might be on the cards. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
I think definitely, like even like on Sunday, you ran most of Sublime Ridge Fire Trail. Like, you should be well
do all the small things right on race day.
Well, that'll be the
trick.
Don't
get blown out by the heat.
No. Well, we don't know what the weather's going to be like.
Yeah, but
I will be starting at the back towards the back of the pack. Yeah. So I'm in wave 4. So that'll force me to go a bit slower down Nellies. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So maybe, as they say, the race starts at the Cox's River, doesn't it?
Yep.
So we'll find out.
And then other people say it starts at Black Range, top of Pluvies. So.
Yeah,
at the top. That's when the sprint starts now.
Yeah, that's right. That's hopefully where I'm feeling still okay to keep running. So. Yeah, definitely. All right, so there we go. And I guess as part of the lead into 6 foot, we are doing a bit of a study. So we started this at the Lawson Park Run last weekend, and we put you brought your kids' chalkboard, and we had a list. We asked people that was doing 6 foot and also doing the park run to, if they want to be part of the study, put their name on the board. And what we're going to do is we're going to see whether the 5K result is the best predictor of our ultra marathon performance, or is there people that maybe aren't so speedy on a 5K but just like that big diesel engine that just keeps turning and puts in a far superior performance. So we're going to put the board up again this weekend and get some more names on there, but we're going to pull all that information together and we'll present that back to you as to what the correlation is between our best 5Ks and our 6 foot marathon performance. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if the fastest park run is the fastest 6 foot. See if it kind of goes down.
Yeah, if it just ranks the way it is.
Well, that's predicted based on these experts who've said that, that hypothesis. But we'll see. After race day.
We'll find out whether it's true in the Blue Mountains or how many people are sandbagging their park runs. So we've got that, and then we're going to have more challenges throughout the year. So look forward to that, and that'll be part of, I guess, part of that is we're going to have to all both light up a park run before we go off to do our 6 foot training. So, so yes.
Mine's already recorded and in the can weeks ago.
You're doing another one?
No, I think you got another one in you before race start. Yeah, especially for all this training going
Different
on.
Shoes.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So in exciting news for Blue Mountains Trail Running Wild got the big tick from all of the agencies involved to put on the Mount Solitary Ultra again.
It's exciting.
Which is
Not since 2021.
I believe so. Yeah. So it's been a while. So that was always my standard build up for North Face 100, and then UTA 100 was 6 foot in March, Mount Solitary in April, and then in May hit the 100. So it was just like a really good progression for anyone who thinks that Mount Solitary 45K is very similar to 6 foot track.
It's not
45K. It's not. It's definitely harder.
Oh,
definitely
no doubt. I think it's harder than UTA 50.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because my best time on Solitary, when I think I was probably even fitter than my best time is definitely on UTA 50 is faster than my best Solitary time. So
it was technical. There's lots of scrambling and
you end up climbing, literally climbing Mount Solitary at the end there, a lot. So it's it'll be interesting, but I think it's going to sell out really fast.
Yeah,
there's a lot of hype. Like everyone I've spoken to has been like, Mount Solitary's on.
Yeah, so by the time this goes live, this podcast, I imagine it will already be full.
Yeah, so. I think so. Well, entry's open tomorrow anyway, which is the 9th?
Wednesday the 19th.
So I'm super excited about it. And we actually stopped today when we were doing that Canumba to read the Solitary board to work out what part of the track was open.
Oh, yeah?
And it does look like that at the moment, that whole loop is now open.
Oh, cool. So the
including
original course.
The landslide between Ferbers and Giant Staircase. That was the last bit to open.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I might be giving some bad information here, but according to that, what we read on the Mount Solitary turn-off from Canumba, it seemed to indicate that was open. So,
well, I know Running Wild, they've got an alternative route planned out, which involves Prince Henry Cliff Walk, but if it's open, and Parks have still got a couple of months to go. They could well have that open, and so we do the OG course.
That'd be good. No more extreme weather events before then.
Yeah, no more landslides. Exactly. All right, and we got some race results, Rob.
Yeah, other news. So from our last recording, so we've had a few races. So Blue Goat happened around Australia Day long weekend. So new course record set there. There's 2 people went. So the winner, Kendall Picardo Fallis, ran 29 laps. So ran for 29 hours to take the win. So the previous record was in 2019 was 26 laps. So that had been held for a while.
It was hot as well, wasn't it?
And it was really hot. And Ryan McKernan did came second with 28 hours, 28
He was
laps,
only just behind. I heard he just couldn't do the last one. Yeah.
He just missed the cut-off there. So, that was a lot of fun. Sara Levett won the 10K outright in a cracking time. It started with a 5, not a 1 ... So well done there.
Well done. Very nice.
And Morgan Huxley won the marathon. So well done, Hux.
I think Henry Hugman also won the 20K.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't write that one down. But
Yep.
Henry's running well still. He's been in a long period of good running. And,
just nailing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We also had Running Wild Wenty Falls race. Seen a lot of love on Facebook and Instagram for that event, which is
sold
great.
out so early.
Yeah,
it was very popular.
and big numbers too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a small number. I think there was over 350 for the 16K. So it was a lot of people. And we talked last year about the emergence of the Blue Mountains Young squad,
the kids,
and these teenagers under 8 just smashed it up again. So in the 16K, the long course, we had Elijah Gosby. Took that out. The 16K's in an hour 20.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fast.
Which is fast.
So that'd be a course record.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah. Emily Brunt, who won a lot of races last year, is obviously continuing that. I think there's a good battle there, husband and wife. I think Sean was just a couple of places ahead of Emily there. So yeah, she might hit the stairs a bit more in training and some more one-legged lunges in. In the 11K, we both the men's and women's, or boys and girls race. We had Fergus Jackson.
Yeah.
It was great to see him take the win. He wasn't competing against Elijah this time, but I reckon, every time they race, Fergus is just getting a bit closer. But this time he was on the 11K. So he took the win there. Joey Williams came second. Harry Vaughan came third. He was in the 18 to 40 age group.
Oh, old guy.
An old guy. And then in the 11K ladies, so we had Joasha Zakruski took the win, but then second and third were also under 18. So we had Taylor Deutschbein and Ruby Smith, both under 18s, took second and third. So,
awesome.
yeah, we've got these Blue Mountains young guns.
It's becoming a young person's sport.
Yeah, just got to take over. So, we need to be back into the ultras distances. 50,
just keep increasing the distance.
Yeah, and then lastly, last weekend we had Tara Weir across the ditch.
That was exciting to watch.
Yeah, so what was exciting?
Well, I like 50Ks. The 50K, Maddie Reynolds did a great performance for Australia, and around her was about 5 girls within a few minutes. But then the number one was this Bianca from South Africa, like nearly over 20 minutes ahead. Just nailed it. So really cool to see just such a gap in already a very elite field.
Yeah, and I listened to her being interviewed, and she was talking about the fact that she wanted to take the pressure off herself. Her and a coach talked about it and doing it like a training run. So she even had music. So she had headphones in and was just sort of trying to be chill, even though she was out in front, and was never really contested so much. But
wow, okay.
But yeah,
it's
so
a good
she's
chilled run.
yeah. So she's definitely going to become
One to watch.
One to watch. Yeah, over the next couple of years for sure.
The women's in the 100K was really close too.
Yeah, very competitive field.
So we had Ruth Croft won third time in 4 years or 4 outings. So
and it was fast.
Record time.
Yeah.
50 minutes, 5-0 faster than and yes, there was a course change, but it was sort of moving back to the original course. So even allowing for that, she's still around 102, 103 Ks. So to do that in the time that she did and knock nearly an hour off is just amazing. Dan Jones took, I think, 30 minutes off the course record in the men's. And then we had Sam Harvey, who I don't know there was anyone was betting against him in the miler. He won the miler at UTK, the Cossie, in December.
Yeah, he backed it up.
Yeah, so he's backed that up. I mean, we all know, the guy can go for 102 hours, so or thereabouts. So we know he can go along, but obviously he's got the leg speed as well. Yeah.
So did you know any local runners, Blue Mountains, that went over there? I didn't know that many this year.
No.
Yeah, only Sean
Whitehouse. Yeah. So he just over 30 hours, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah. So well done, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
So
I
if
think previous years he actually it was the what was it called? Unreasonable East was the last mile that I knew of him doing, and he struggled through that one. So it seems like he did this one much.
So he was in Tararua in 23 when I was over there for that. Okay. But So apologies to any other Blue Mountains runners that
and congratulations.
Well done.
For whatever event, but let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Reach out.
Drop us a line and we'll give you a shout out next podcast. Yeah.
So I guess as we as was mentioned in the previous podcast, we're doing a series of podcasts tied to the history of the 6 foot track. Mm-hmm. And so Rob, maybe you want to introduce the next interview that we did.
Yeah, so this week I'm proud to present Rod Cutler. So Rod, as you'll learn throughout the interview, has just had a massive impact on Blue Mountains running, which is funny because he's never lived in the Blue Mountains, but, in the foothills, the flatlands. But yeah, he's just made such a mark on Blue Mountains running. In actual fact, there was something that came up a couple of weeks ago when I was out on a run and went, actually Rod Cutler invented that. And we didn't talk about in the interview was you can put in your race splits per kilometre or whatever and print it out and it's on the 6 foot track website. where you can do all 45Ks, all the splits, and then have it in this long piece of paper. You laminate it and you put it around your wrist, or you put it in your pack, whatever. And Rod had invented that. Like, Rod had created that and then shared it through the beer bet. And
what about the creek crossing? Does he laminate it?
It's laminated.
Swimming the other day.
No, it's laminated. Yeah. So it's laminated. You tape it up. Good. So that was a thing that he did. You can see the towel behind, proudly displayed. Very cool. So that was one year we all got that, all of the participants. He created the New South Wales Institute of Beer. Was key to the creation of the 6 foot beer bet, which you'll learn all about in this. So he used to have this imaginary shop called Habibi's Bazaar because he was buying all this stuff from Alibaba. So every year we would get all this kit for, we'd throw in $20 or $25, and we get all this bling, merch that was related to the 6 foot track race. And now people who go in the 6 foot track race and they get the bling bag, at Reggio, and it was really like, he set that all up, and then they were like, "Oh, that's a great idea. We should do that too." So,
awesome.
So we've got some things. So we've got some visors that were used in the race. So that one's a New South Wales Institute of Beer. This one was the Mick Miles Mates one, which you'll hear all about that. If you're not aware of that story, New South Wales Institute of Beer cap, and the 6 foot beer bet one. Some of the little other bits in the bling is the bottle openers, because obviously, we've got all of these. So there was just so much stuff that we would get every year. And it's like beyond the challenge of the beer bet itself, it was always interesting to know what he was going to present. But as I said, he was one of the 3 guys who started the Running Wild series. And a lot of the runs that, and like we talk about it, the Glenbrook Trail Marathon, which now is a qualifier for a whole lot of events. He created that, just worked on it. Used map my run, and we'd go out and do some Strava runs, and then he'd work out how to make it into a marathon. So that used to be always held on Australia Day until we got sort of shut down. It got too big and too popular, and then it got swallowed up as part of the Running Wild series. So
good teaser. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So it was a really great interview. I'm really thankful for Rod's time. It was funny. It took us 2 goes because he was up in far north Queensland, and me recording it down at my place on a Wednesday night, and we had a big electrical storm and lost all power, so I had to come back on the Friday night to re-record it. So I was very appreciative that he gave me all that time to do that. And I hope you guys really enjoy getting to know Rod Cutler if you don't know, and for those who've lived through those times and been part of the Institute of Beer or the Beer Bet, you'll enjoy seeing some of the images that will come up during this. So if you don't just listen to it, but watch it on Spotify or YouTube, then you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that went longer than we expected. So stop.
Our first few episodes are going to be focusing on the 6 foot track. That's our next big race coming up. I'm interviewing a few very special people associated with the 6 foot track. So today's episode, I've got Rod Cutler. So Rod, as you're going to hear throughout this interview, put an indelible imprint on the race of 6 foot track and also Blue Mountains trail running. He's probably going to be too humble to really recognise the impact he's had on Blue Mountains trail running, or he might not have even really considered his impact. But we're just going to talk through some of that now. So welcome, Rod.
G'day, Rob. How are you, mate?
I'm great. I can see that you are living in paradise. I can see in the background there you've got a very long jetty. It looks like about 300 or 400 metres. You could do intervals on that.
Mate, these days on the push bike's about it, mate. It's a beautiful spot, Magnetic Island, just off the coast of Townsville. Some say living the dream. It's good.
I think so. And that's Townsville in the background that we can see?
Yeah, so across the way is Townsville. It's 8 kilometres away, but it may as well be 8,000 kilometres. It's a very idyllic spot. It's a step back to yesteryear. So it's a really, really nice spot. Just chilling out.
Yeah, well, if it's a step back to yesteryear, it should be a bit more relaxed pace then, huh?
Not a set of traffic lights on the island, Rob.
I was going to ask that. Because you can't drive onto the island, can you?
No, you can. For me, it's I I still do. I do a bit of running up here, but I ride across the island. It's 11 kilometres from one side of the island to the other, with a few hills in between. So do a bit of riding, bit of running, get the dog out, swimming, and a bit of this and a bit of that, mate. And running an Airbnb and doing my best.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like living the dream. So how long have you been up there?
Moved up here in June. Retired from my work. Moved up here in June, and been here now. Built a house, got an Airbnb in it, and just kicking back, enjoying life.
Awesome. So this is a trail running podcast with focus on trail running and obviously even more direct focus on the Blue Mountains trail running. So when did you first start running?
I think I ran all my life, but got into trail running off the back of a trail walker, probably about 2005. And started just sort of dipping my toe into different things. An old favourite was Fitzroy Falls Trail Marathon. Did that back in the time, did that a few times. Got the bug for 6 foot track and just started doing a series of different races all over the place, really. Bogan to Hotham, 6 foot track, Great Ocean Walk, Great North Walk. There was a bit of fat ass in there. You would have been involved with the Glenbrook Marathon, the unofficial and the official Glenbrook Marathon.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
All right, I won't steal your thunder, but there's a few things there. And Running Wild. I was one of the three original persons that formed Running Wild in the Blue Mountains. And then
absolutely. Well, why don't we talk through that? So, because you did play an integral part in the creation of a few things. And I'm wearing the New South Wales Institute of Beer shirt to reflect that. I see you're wearing a Beer Bet shirt, and we'll talk about that. So in terms of 6 foot, so your first 6 foot was 07?
Yes, it would have been around about 2007. That's right. Yes.
Yep. And how many have you done?
I did 12. I was starting to get too slow, and 12 was enough, mate. Got the belt and the buckle, I think it is. And that was enough for me.
The belt, yep, absolutely. I did. In the end, did you hang on to get the belt?
Well, yeah. Look, I was still going okay. I think my last race I did was 5:25 or something, so I wasn't going too bad. But age and injuries caught up, so it was time to sort of do 12. Probably after 10, I was probably had enough, but did 2 more to make 12. But then just step back from after that. Yeah.
Yeah, so for those people who aren't aware of it, in 6 foot track law, if you do six foots, you get a belt buckle. If you do 12, so they're all multiples of 6, tying in with 6 foot. So if you do 12, you get the belt, which is inscribed so that you can wear the buckle with the belt. When you do 18, then you get a running vest. An actual vest. It's a fleece vest that's engraved or inscribed. And then for 24, you become a living legend and get your race number allocated. It's very low numbers, and that race bib number will always be yours forevermore and never be allocated to anyone else. And next podcast, I'm actually interviewing one of those living legends. But getting back to this legend here, so you did your first 6 foot in 07. Yep. And then in 08, you did a time of around about 450-ish.
Yeah, I started in the 5s and then dipped into the 4s and just kept on sort of getting progressively smarter and faster, I guess. And just kept on going downwards.
Yeah, so taking a stroll down memory lane, I can vividly remember the training run we did, which was for the first North Face 100 in 08. So we'd all done, or a number of people had done 6 foot, and we were running, I think we'd parked the cars at Explorers Tree and we were heading over back along Cliff Drive it was, and there were a number of people. It was the first time I'd met Buzz, Keith Hong, and Spud was there, you were there, Tall Jeff Everson was there, Little Terry, can't remember if Scurry was there, but there was a handful of people all out for a North Face 100 training run. And we all got talking, and it just turned out that sort of like 6 or 7 of us had all finished that year's 6 foot, which was only a month before, within about 10 or 15 minutes of each other. So then you, Rod, had the idea, hey, none of us are ever going to be on the podium or top 10. How about we create a little competition and have a race within a race? And that was the start of the 6 foot beer bet.
That's correct, Rob. What I noticed is that it's a very singular sport. And as you quite rightly said, there was 6, 8, 10 of us all there, but none of us really knew each other. And we were all, you could have thrown a blanket over our finish times. So the idea was to form the beer bet. It was about camaraderie and getting a competitive nature in it too. A lot of people used to think, it's just a bunch of blokes get on the beers, but it was far from it. You'd attest to it, Rob. It was very competitive in there. And I'd sort of, from my personal point of view, my best times were whilst doing that. I found an extra drive, an extra passion when competing against our mates and then sharing a beer at the end, which I found deeply rewarding, and formed a lot of friendships out of the back of it too.
Yeah, so a lot of those friendships are still going strong now, but also, so there were a couple of rules around eligibility to be in the beer bet. So obviously, as you said, there was a handful of us, and we'd all met through Cool Running, the website. It was before Facebook and Instagram and all that, and so the rule to be eligible, you couldn't have done a 6 foot faster than 4:30.
Correct.
Was that 4:30 or 4:40? 4:30, wasn't it?
4:30, and also you couldn't have ran a marathon time faster than 3 hours.
Yep, that's right. So no fast people were eligible. Right. So we were all starting from a pretty similar stable. But you're right. Like, some people really took it on, and over the time. And actually, I was looking at the stats that John Bowe had sent through, and I think it was from the second year of the beer bet or the third year, and more than half of the people had done PBs.
Yeah, correct. And I think it brought out a lot in different people.
So that was really impressive.
Yeah. It did bring out look, for me personally, I know it brought out a stronger element in me. And I think a lot of other people, when you spoke to them post-race, there was a real drive, in a race, you've got people around you, but you don't really know who those people are, in a large part. But in our race, within the race, it was real. Me and you used to have ding-dong battles and spud, and you'd be really trying your best to beat your mate down you'd be chasing them down up and down the hills, and away we went. So I found it deeply rewarding.
Yeah, no, it was definitely great, and the beer bet's still going, so it's this year is number 13. So actually, I'm a little bit disappointed, Rod, that you moved on, because we got the grey shirts, and there's a handful of us who've got the grey shirts for doing 6 beer bets. And I was very curious to know what Habibi's Bazaar was going to present for for doing 12. Did you ever have an idea for 12?
No, the shirt colour come from I believe it come from Natalie Watson, or because I got the shirts organised. It was our take, similar to the 6 foot track with the six races. This was our thing. It was interesting. It was a bit of fun. I was well known for all the different things I'd come up with our group, and some good, some not so good.
Yeah. Oh no, well, generally, and I want to give credit there as well. So, so what you created was the event within the event, and it rapidly. I think the first year there were only 15 or 16 people in it, and then the second year what's that?
I think there was 18 in the first year.
18 in the first year. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a recollection of 18, and so I might be stealing your thunder here. So for the people listening, the whole idea when we first started was everyone bought a 6-pack of beer, and so there's 18 of us, 18 6-packs. I got an esky, we put them on ice, and the whole thing was that we'd all race to Genolan, and the winner would win the beers. But it was very arbitrary because he didn't actually win the beers. We all just sat down and drank the beers. So we had an esky full of all weird and wonderful beers, and away we went. That was the whole thing. But basically, we were racing for beers, or ciders if people were that way inclined. So
No, not back then.
No, it was mostly us with beers, But yeah, it was a good concept. It was fun. It just brought a little bit of a social element into the race and a bit of a very competitive element, and it grew from that first race.
Yeah, and I think that the social aspect, that post-race, because you're right, everyone donated a six-pack and then you got to drink as much as you wanted after the race. But after flogging yourself in the heat, running 45 Ks in under 5 hours, generally everyone was just having one or two beers. No one was drinking a six-pack. So I remember it took a few people to carry everything back to the boot of the car for the winner to get. And then I think after the second and third year, we had a whole lot of ring-ins just coming to help us just to drink the beers.
I normally had a few, but and you may or may not remember, but over time we got bigger as more people joined, and we had a tent there before they had tents. We got ourselves in a bit of trouble. We got a bit too loud and boisterous, and then we had our own minibus. And Paul Brooding used to supply the minibus, so we'd have the minibus go to the finish line. So we'd have our own minibus to travel home, and we'd stop off at the Hampton Hotel.
The Hampton Hotel, yeah. There's a great photo of us.
It was a great photo. There was some really good times there when we'd stop off at the Hampton Hotel, and then we'd normally get an Airbnb in Katoomba on the Friday and Saturday night, and that'd be sort of ground zero, and it was good fun.
Yeah, and you just touched on that. So that was actually New South Wales Institute of Beer Clubhouse. So the Institute of Beer, I'll let you tell the story, but that was formed not too many years after the 6 Foot Beer Bet was formed.
Yeah, well, if you have a look at firstly the logo, it was a bit of a take on the New South Wales Institute of Sport. So we had a fellow, Jeff Duncan. He was a runner, but he was also a graphic designer. And we got the idea of creating a group. There was all these different running groups. There was Striders and there was NRG and all that sort of stuff. But we didn't really have a home for people. So for people without a home, we created the New South Wales Institute of Beer. And we got Jeff, and he designed the logo, which is just a direct spin-off of the New South Wales Institute of Sport. And we designed elements in the shirt, and away we went. And then we sort of ran the beer bet under the umbrella of the New South Wales Institute of Beer.
Yeah, and part of that was also that after people had so much fun with the 6 Foot Beer Bet, and then we just kept getting requests to say, hey, how about we have a beer bet for the Gold Coast Marathon? How about we have a beer bet for Bogong to Hotham? And we're like, no, let's keep that just for 6 foot. So then it was like, okay, we need another function for that, and that also contributed to the success of the Institute of Beer. But one of the things, as I said in the opening, that you've had an indelible mark on Blue Mountains running and the 6 Foot race. So one of the things that you did for us beer betters was you created a bling bag. So we got some really good rewards, prizes for having been involved. And sometimes it was just donate $20 or $25. And some of the stuff that you were getting from Alibaba and other places, and that a whole lot of us would still have. I think the 6 Foot committee, those that were involved through the time, would have seen, and we also had some people that were involved in the beer bet that ended up in executive positions for the 6 Foot committee, were recipients of some of those bling bags, and now anyone who enters the 6 Foot track race, some of the things that people are getting and have gotten over the years, they didn't exist before the beer bet and Rod Cutler's input into the mementos and merchandise for that. So definitely anyone who's entering the 6 Foot track race these days owes you a debt of thanks for some of the great 6 Foot merchandise that we get to walk away with after the race.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't all just fun for us and all about drinking alcohol. I think it was 2011 that you decided let's put this to a good cause. I think Jeff Everson had a finance company or investment firm, that ArcX, that said we'll donate some money. So anyone who got in under 5 hours got $50.
I'm pretty sure it was they did a donation for every person in our beer bet that ran under 5 hours. And by that time, we would have had, I'm going to say we would have had probably approximately 50 people in the group. It had sort of grown a little bit then. And if memory serves me correct, we would have had, I don't know, 20 to 25 people that got under 5 hours. So it just added an extra layer to the beer bet where we were raising money. I think it was for the Jane McGrath Foundation. You may know.
It was for the Jane McGrath Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, and
then because that got communicated through Cool Running, which was the home of, it was everyone's runner's porn at that time, and the place to find your race reports and hear all the banter, get involved in banter about it. So, and that's where the 6 foot beer bet really grew from people seeing us all gathered at the end of the race. But yeah, you had nominated the Jane McGrath Foundation for that, and then a lady from Perth that was importing running skirts.
That's right.
The skirts with the shorts underneath, got in touch and said, "Hey, if I donate a heap of hot pink ones to go with the McGrath Foundation colours, would you guys wear them and be a promotion for us?" And we all got involved in that. So that was the pink skirt year.
Yeah, I definitely wore the pink skirts. I don't think there was skorts because I remember I had a terrible bout of chafing from where.
Oh, maybe you just got the skirt. I can't remember what I got.
I think I just got the skirt then, but from what it sounds like, because it was after 45 kilometres in I think speedos and the skirt. It was the chafe was pretty intense.
and Paul Arthur, he jumped into it late, so he ended up having to wear a hot pink complete dress, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a short dress, but
it was weird and wonderful things, and it was interesting. It was just another layer of fun, I guess, to the whole day.
Yeah, made the write up in the Australian Runners magazine. That one.
Oh,
yeah.
Did it really?
I don't remember how much we raised for the McGrath Foundation. Do you?
Oh, look,
got a rough idea?
Well, I'm going to say close to $2,000 because I remember there was Jeff Everson's donation, and then there was the skirts. There was some money off the back of the skirts. So it was in the range of about $1,500 to $2,000.
Yeah, awesome. So do you remember going back to 2007, do you remember what shoes you wore in the first year?
Oh, good Lord. I would have. I honestly think I wore just a pair of busted bloody running road shoes, probably Brooks Glycerins or something like that, or possibly the Brooks Cascadias. I remember wearing them at the time. Brooks Cascadias.
I do remember you had Cascadias, but I don't know if they were around in 07 and 08.
I'm not sure, but it was.
Could have been.
I've got a recollection of Brooks Glycerins, road shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that was true because we all ran in road shoes back then.
Oh, it was. Yeah, we just did our best back then. It was weird and wonderful.
And do you remember your nutrition and hydration strategy for the event?
It's funny. I used to go out on runs with people with Phil Murphy or yourself and that, and you'd watch what someone else is eating. So I'll try that. And I remember Phil once I got creamed rice, little tins of creamed rice.
That's right.
And then sultanas and bloody packets of chips. And my staple was I grew up obviously born '66, so growing up as a kid it was red cordial. So I used to be well known for carrying red cordial in my flasks or my bottles or my backpack. Just
yep, you were known for the red cordial.
Nuts. We used to carry nuts out there. None of this gels and stuff like that. It was all sorts of things. Vegemite sandwiches, cheese and Vegemite sandwich, ham and cheese sandwiches, all sorts of things. You'd come up with something and you'd try it and you go, oh, geez, that was all right. So the next thing you know, you'd be putting it in Ziploc bags and taking it out with.
Yep. But over the years, that changed, and you started getting with the high tech nutrition.
I think I was on red cordial for a long while there, Rob. Just quietly. I think I might have upped it from Cotties to Golden Circle. That might have been the extent of my upgrade in nutrition.
Now, on a more somber note, one of the guys who was a big contributor to the 6 foot beer bet and also had a part in the Institute of Beer was Mick Miles, who sadly passed away while out on a run. And again, your contribution to the running community was to create a separate group so that we could get his name on some trophies in perpetuity. So created the Mick Miles Mates.
That's
Tell us
right.
about that.
Okay, I'll take a step back and then move forward. So when we created the Institute of Beer, I watched 6 foot track, and Striders always won the mob run. And it was like, because they had 100 runners or 120 runners and that. So just our sheer weight of numbers, they'd always win it. So I come up with a strategy under the Institute of Beer. I worked out that you didn't need the most runners, you just needed the fastest runners. So I got people involved, and it was a point score system, and we won the mob run, beating Striders, which was kind of cool because I sort of, in the background, that was sort of my cunning plan, was to topple Striders off the mob run, and along the way we won some teams events as well. So we did that early in the piece, I think about 2013, 2014. And then Mick's passing around about 2017, going into 2018. I wanted to do something for Mick. He was a dear friend of ours. He lived up the Central Coast, but he ran with a lot of us. And anyone that knew him, he was a very humble fellow, but he was also very self-effacing. He'd love people taking the mickey out of him. And it was horrible to, that happened. So I come up with the idea of forming a running group for that year called Mick Miles Mates. So the story got out, and we publicised the story, publicised the situation, what we were doing, and I got involved with a fella from up on the Central Coast, and we banded together the Institute of Beer sort of people. I sort of promoted them to move out of that and move into that, and anyone else that wanted to join it. And we ran under the banner of Mick Miles Mates. So Terrigal's Trotters runners ran under that mostly. New South Wales Institute.
Yep, we had
Beer
Striders.
And then and then a bunch of us friends that knew Mick or were touched by the story. I think from numbers, I organised about 90 people to register under Mick Miles Mates as a running group. And I got visors made up for the group to wear out on the course.
Yep.
And lo and behold, the plan worked again, Rob, and we won the mob run again. So,
yep.
So my plan from, 2013, 2014, come around, give full circle, and I managed to get Mick Miles's name on the mob run trophy for 6 foot track, which was kind of cool. It was now forever and a day. Mick's name is on a trophy. He was never going to win the race. But through a little bit of creative work, I was able to get his name on one of the 6 foot track trophies, which I was kind of chuffed with that, the way that worked out. And we had at the end, and it was Mark Dunlop, was the fella from Terrigal Trotters, and we were presented the trophy jointly between Mark and myself, and then Mick's wife was there at the presentation and got up on the stage and accepted the trophy, the perpetual trophy, which was kind of touching. So that was a nice. It was just a nice touch where we just gathered around someone that was dear to a lot of us. So it was good.
Yeah, no, it was very special day too. But I've still got the visor. I'm sure a lot of us have.
I have too, actually.
So with the beer bet, as we said, it grew from the first 18 or so people the first year. I think the second year we went up to 50, and therefore you had to create, and you were always being very innovative. So you created the gold and the silver, and we had the scrunchies. So you'd know who was in gold and who was in silver as you ran past.
Yeah.
And I remember that you had Alison Lilly being the sweeper for the beer bet, and so she had to take your scrunchie, and if you never overtook her again and got your scrunchie back, it was like coming back on the fire truck.
Well, there's a couple of things there, Rob. So I created trophies for the group. So the first race was we raced for what was called the Golden Stubby, and it was a big 2-litre Darwin stubby, which I got mounted on a piece of timber. And every year that whoever won it got their plaque. They were handed the trophy, and their job was to go and get a plaque done for the next year with their name, race year, and name on it. So over the time, and it was done every year. We give the trophy to whoever, and they take it away for the year. Some people were quite proud of it, end up on their mantelpiece. And that was the first year we had the Golden Stubby. So then the next year we had more people, so I created a Silver Stubby. So we had 2 groups of runners, and again, same theme. The Darwin Stubby mounted on a piece of timber, and the 2 groups were broken up into separate gold and silver, and they raced for the 2 trophies. So it was good. There was people that appeared on multiple times, and people like myself and a few others. We never quite got our names on the trophy. I think that would have been the crown and glory of my running career if I got my name on the Golden Stubby. I did, so I would have died a happy man if I could have got my name on the Golden Stubby, but it was not to be. I tried every year, Rob. Yep. I tried to manipulate the fields, and I tried to do this, and I tried to do that. I couldn't quite swing it.
Yeah, and because one of those guiding principles or the hard rules that if you'd done the 6 foot under 430, then you were no longer eligible for the beer bet. And because everyone was going hard trying to win, we had quite a number of people who were doing better than that. And so then the platinum,
that's right.
Platinum stubby
I was
evolved.
trying to keep it as tight as possible, but over time we had the 3-hour road marathon rule or the 4:30 6-foot rule. And a few of our friends, we lost them because they might have done a 2:59 road marathon or a 4:28 6-foot track. So I thought, well, I was always trying to evolve. It's like everything. If you stay stagnant, it gets a bit boring. So I then brought in the Platinum Stubby, which was for runners faster than the 4:30 group. And that was I made that a handicap because I just didn't want someone that was the fastest runner coming along and winning it. So it was all about a handicap, which was always a story in itself because I'd sit down and assess their PBs and their training and their Garmins and their Stravas, and would give them a handicap. And so they'd all be racing with a handicap, which was quite interesting because every year one person would beat the handicapper. But mostly I caught mostly, and there'd be howls of protests from people, why am I got a 20-minute handicap? But the decision was final, and they all had to race with their handicap for better or worse. And someone would always sneak under my guard. I couldn't catch that one person. There'd be a couple of them, every year, 1 or 2. But it was good. It had another layer, so it wasn't necessarily the fastest runner won that. It was who could get past the handicap of the best and run a fast time. They still had to run it. They still normally had to run it.
Yeah, well, think about.
Yep.
Yeah, poor Alex Matthews, who had actually won the race outright 1 or 2 years, and was in the beer bet and in platinum and couldn't win the beer bet.
No, that's right. We couldn't have the fastest runners winning the beer bet. It was completely against the principles, Rob, of what we were about. So, hence those ones they got taxed quite heavily. I made sure that they can only get one bit of crown and glory for the day. We didn't want them winning the stubby as well.
Now, beyond getting involved with 6 foot in 2007 and then pretty much doing it every year after that, except for the washed out year, consecutively, then North Face 100 was created and we could enter that in 2008. So you ended up spending a lot more time coming up to the mountains because you didn't live in the mountains at the time, did you?
No, I lived down in southwest Sydney, and you're right. I only ran North Face once, but I ran the first year. I think we were all involved in the first year when it was called North Face 100. And we were doing training runs, and we did some weird and wonderful training runs, but things like Mount Solitary. I think our training runs evolved for North Face that we ended up doing Mount Solitary a lot of times. And that became a staple race for Running Wild. That race was born out of us doing training runs up and over Mount Solitary. It was one of our foundation races for Running Wild. as was the Glenbrook Marathon.
Yep.
That was another one that come out of a thing that I used to do. We used to have a fat ass run there, and that become again one of the three major races for running wild. So there's a lot of good things that come out of
Yes, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, because you're always plotting, hey, how about we do this run and do that run, whatever, and working out roughly using like Map My Run or whatever to see what the distance might be. And I remember you getting in touch and saying, hey, let's go and do this. I've mapped out, I think it could be up to a marathon and finish at the Causeway. And again, put it out on Cool Running. So besides the two of us, I think there was about a handful of people that came and did different distances.
Yep.
Some weren't up to running what potentially was going to be over 40 Ks. But you're right, and that ended up being the Australia Day Fatathon.
That's right. And
I think you named it.
Yeah, it was. And we did it for a couple of years, and I used to mark the course with pink ribbon, but despite best efforts, people get lost or take the wrong turn and whatnot. But it did. It worked out. It was a really nice course, actually. That was a really, really challenging course, but not too challenging. Yeah, and it went all over the national park there, the Lower National Park. That was quite a good run. Yeah, we did it for a couple of years, and I think the last year we did, I think I had over 100 people. There was a photo floating around of a mass of people down in the Causeway having a swim post run. It was really nice.
That's right, and someone had brought a barbecue down and set up and was cooking sausages at the Causeway.
And all that, and I was terrified we were going to get the park rangers were going to come and find me and haul me off, but I managed to dodge them all the time. And from an unofficial fat ass get together, the Glenbrook Marathon was born within Running Wild, which I think is still, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still running as an event, and that become a qualifier for 6 foot track as well. So it was good.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that race is actually a qualifier for quite a number of long ultras around Australia.
It's a good little course. I'd recommend it to anyone if they haven't done it yet to get out and do it. It's a good course.
Yeah, so see, again, your imprint is continues today, Rod.
Yeah, it's true.
So besides what you've shared already, what are your other favourite memories of running in the mountains?
There was... I did some good runs over in the Gross Valley. That was really, really good. Me and Tony Williams once, we did a little run over there, and I called it the Blackheath Marathon. And my God, that was uphill and down dale. It was up Lockley's Pylon and those steps over there. And anyway, that was another one. Another one I organised, but I didn't run it. We ran, or a bunch of runners, there's about 5 or 6, ran from the Nepean River up to Mount York, which was kind of cool because a lot of people that did it to this day, they still mention it, that they really enjoyed themselves. It was just another fat ass type thing. They started at the cafe there on the Nepean River and ran up through the national park and up the Inga Fire Trail and then down up Inga into, and then up to the Jemison Valley and then across and all the way up to Mount York. I was trying to replicate the Blaxland, Lawson, Wentworth crossing of the Blue Mountains. Ideally, I was trying to get the run over to Mount Blaxland, which is over. If you go and do some digging, I'm sure it's Mount Blaxland. It's over near Hampton, near the Hampton Hotel. But yeah, it got a bit tricky. You would have to go down. It got a bit tricky. I could have got it there, but it was sort of a bridge too far to do. But that was a good run.
Yeah, a bit hard to get down Victoria Pass.
Yeah, I had to get it down Victoria Pass and then go through Little Hartley, and then go out towards Hampton. It was I couldn't quite work the route out there. But anyway, we went out to Mount York, finished at night time, and there was about half a dozen people, and they really enjoyed that. The 6 foot track was normally the highlight up the Blue Mountains, and forming Running Wild, and how to see that still running or still going strong. Yeah, it was just good times. I met good people. Probably is the best thing. And you wouldn't have met the people, I don't think. Well, you might have. You would have met them in your group because you were involved with BWMC. But for people not involved in that sort of grouping, it was very singular sport. And just that layer of group setting is what excited me to do those different things, to get people together, meet people, enjoy themselves.
No, awesome. Yeah, so I think that this interview today is really just a big vote of thanks to you for the impact you have had on Blue Mountains running.
Thanks, mate.
Being one of the founding members and creators of the of Running Wild, which is, as you say, still going strong. The beer bet is still going, even though you're not running it anymore. But it was handed over to Enrique for a few years, and that's still got some leadership there. So I know that last year at Jenolan Cabins there, the old Binder Cabins, we had the presentations. The trophies are still being shared, and people are still wearing the Institute of Beer shirts. And that.
It's still a fun trophy, I think, to take home. I never got the chance to take it home, but it was funny, Rob. You used to see some people they'd be proud as punch that they were taking a trophy home, and it was the most bizarre trophy. And you've seen it, and they've been bashed around and taken out to pubs afterwards, and we've lost little running the symbols, the running men off them, and
the running man.
The running man. The trophies have gone through some weird and wonderful backstories or post-race stories, but they survived. I was always incredibly nervous that they'd get dropped. The next thing you know, the old stubby would smash. But for that amount of time, the 3 trophies have survived all the knocks and grazes that they got over the years.
Yeah, well, I'll put some photos. I've got some good photos of Jason Wheeler winning last year, so holding the trophy aloft with the Darwin stubby.
Everyone was always proud of winning it, mate. There was always some good photos of the winners.
All right. You think you'll come back down to the mountains and go for some runs?
Look, short answer is no. These days, mate. These days, my running is around Magnetic Island, and I run my little border collie and do a few things. And there's a couple of races on here during the year in the cooler months, May, June, July. I'll probably do a couple of those, hopefully. I'm past it now, mate. I wouldn't last 45 kilometres anymore. Man's got to know. I always used to say. There was an old saying, Rob, I used to say is, you got to match your ambition and your ability, mate. As you get older, it gets a little bit harder. That ability seems to wane, and 12 was enough, and all those other things. If I was down there and happened to be down there when there was a race on at the Blue Mountains, it'd be nice to get back up to a Running Wild event, I guess. I'm down there in March, I think, for a couple of days. But it's the reality is for me, I'm just a banged up runner these days, mate. Just doing my best.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to find out in a couple of years' time that you've created an event up on Magnetic Island and you're the race director or the president of the committee.
It's funny. Like all the times, Rob, I'm a frustrated organizer, and I go out for runs, and I think of all these different courses we could make up here. And we could do a multi-sport event with kayaking and running and cycling. There's some great little spots to do that. So, that'd be fun. It'd be fun to do something up here and have a bunch of people come up and do that for a weekend away or a long weekend away. It's nice.
You'll have to expand your Airbnb empire then. Get more accommodation up there.
Airbnb, it's a one-bedder, mate, so I don't know. And there's no parties allowed. So it's ironic, isn't it, that... we used to hire the Airbnbs up in Katoomba, and we used to always, in a nice way, but we'd always be on the, having a few drinks afterwards. And there was one year we had a chef there, and he made a good big spread up. It was Chris Yates's brother-in-law. But here I am now running an Airbnb, so I've gone the full circle, and there's no parties allowed on my Airbnb, Rob. But I've got a nice 3-bedroom house, so we could have the party in the house. I can maintain the Airbnb rule and have the party in the house.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
One day.
All right, well, Rod, it was been fantastic catch up. Thanks so much for this, for giving me your time and giving everyone your time. So it's been awesome to catch up with you, and hopefully it won't be too long, and I'll see you all on, and I'll be up there putting on the sunscreen and getting around on the bike or on legs, getting around Magnetic Island.
Shameless plug, mate. Rosalita Picnic Bay is the name of it. Look it up if you want a nice weekend away from the hustle and bustle of Sydney or Melbourne or wherever you are. That's a great spot.
All right, Rosalita.
Rosalita, named after an old Bruce Springsteen song from 1970.
I know it, yep.
Do you know the song?
I do.
There you go. That's the name of it. Rosalita Picnic Bay.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for your time again, and I'll catch up with you. If not this year, next year.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you, mate.
All right. See ya.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.